Merrill Memo with Matthew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.
Can you tell me a little bit about what will be happening? We'll run this on Monday, so what will be happening at the Sandy Beach area starting this week, hopefully?
Yeah, certainly. So there'll be some changes to the work that's already been undertaken there. And it is complicated. Working with waterways is complicated. You've got a number of different state government agencies that council works with, and then council's normally the one doing the work at the end of the program or at the end of the day there. Certainly we've got standing permission, if you like, if you want to call it that, with fisheries as one example, to undertake some emergency repair work along the waterway, in particular after there's been flooding events, and obviously we've had lots of flooding events over the last 6 months, so we've undertaken various emergency repair work, and that might be something as simple as getting rid of the silt off a boat ramp to make it safer for residents. In the case of Sandy Beach, there was a lot of sand dumped there, with the water being at high levels along the river for many months there, and I can't even tell you how many months, but it was several months that we had very high levels of water. Once those waters went down, the Sandy Beach area, which is a very popular recreational area, certainly had very high levels of sand there. Council did actually engage some contractors to do some work there to make it safer for the community to access the river along that area. And there's a number of recreational users that use the river there. And certainly Dragon Boat Club is one of those, but there's other users as well. But Fisheries actually contacted Council and said that they were concerned about the work that was being done. And there's a specific definition of dredging, which isn't the normal definition of dredging. You and I would think about dredging about going along the middle of a river and removing sediment and debris from the bottom of a river. But dredging under the New South Wales Fisheries Management Act 1994, Section 198A, says that any work that involves moving material on waterland, and they call waterland anything that can be intermittently submerged. So the beach there is defined as waterland, and they define that as dredging. So after some further discussions with Fisheries, we will voluntarily move the sand back, the sand that we'd moved out of the way to make it easy to access the river. We'll move that sand back, and then we'll go through a process with Fisheries to come up with a plan to allow us to do some work there to allow that recreational area to be utilised by the public. We'll go through and put a plan together with Fisheries, and then we'll go and undertake that work to basically allow people to access that and keep Fisheries on side with the work that we'll be undertaking there.
Gotcha. So I guess after this work is completed, the area will look pretty similar to what it's looking like now?
So we'll do some work initially to restore it. So basically it'll go back to how it was after the floods, where it'll be a high level of sand there. It'll be a bit harder to get access to the river. So I'd ask residents to remain cautious there. We may even put some barriers up there just to restrict access because it may be a little bit dangerous there. And then we'll work with Fisheries to come up with some sort of plan, whether it's to make a channel through the middle of the beach like we've got at the moment, or whether it's to smooth out that access in a slightly different way. I'm not sure what it will look like after we can complete that plan, but essentially it'll allow access to the river again with a safer way to access the river for all patrons, including Dragon Boat Club, including people who want to go down there and fish or just have a swim in the river there, take their dogs. A lot of people do take their dogs down there and access the river. So there'll be some way that we'll get safe access to the river, and we'll just work with New South Wales Fisheries to deliver that.
Yeah, gotcha. And so the community concern about how the area is looking, it's just not possible that it can go back to how it was before the floods, is it? So the sand that was brought in, it was necessary, and it's sort of the best situation that you can hope for at the moment. Is that sort of the case? Well,
council brought no sand in. So all the sand that's there on the riverbank, on the Sandy Beach area, was brought in by the river. So there's no additional sand. Some people have said to me that, asked why council dumped sand there, but we didn't dump any sand there. The river dumped sand there, but you've got to remember that area there was underwater for many months, and obviously you do get a lot of sand, a lot of silt, a lot of stuff, debris that's brought down by a river when it's got those high levels of flooding there. Once those waters receded, then what was left there by the river. So council didn't bring that sand in. what we did was move some of that sand around there to make it safer to access that. So I'm not sure if some of those community concerns were focused on the fact that they thought people or council brought sand in, but I can assure you that no sand was brought in by council. That was all brought in by the river.
Yeah, gotcha. And so basically the sand with how it's set out at the moment is the best way to make the river safe.
Well, that's a discussion. That's a slight difference of opinion there between our council contractors and New South Wales Fisheries. So the way we've reorganised it now is basically moved the sand and made a bit of a channel through the middle of that sand to allow people to get down to the river via that channel. And that's where New South Wales Fisheries believe that we might be able to do that in a different way. So we'll work with Fisheries to come up with a plan to give people safe access. It may involve a channel like there is there now. It may involve some smoothing out of the sand, but it won't involve removing any of the sand that's there. It won't involve adding any additional sand. It will be leaving the sand that's there, but reshaping it, I think, would be the best way to describe it, which is what we've done already. That's what's occurred at this stage, is reshaping some of that sand, but it'll be possibly reshaped in a slightly different way. And then again, in conversations, in discussions with New South Wales Fisheries, we'll come up with that plan and then go forward with that. And certainly we'll talk to stakeholders that use that area there as well, but New South Wales Fisheries will have the final say on that plan.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you.
Merrill Memo with Matthew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.